Grammy-winning R&B artist D'Angelo has passed away at the age of 51 years old due to pancreatic cancer. He kept it quiet just among his family. He was born Michael D'Angelo Archer. Rose to fame in the 1990s with his groundbreaking debut album, Brown Sugar. The hit single, Lady, peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in March of 1996, spending 20 weeks on the charts. He reached even greater success with his 2000 sophomore album, Voodoo, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and earned the Grammy Award for Best R&B Album. Its lead single, Untitled, How Does It Feel, also won a Grammy for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. And of course, sisters know about that video. It cemented his legacy as one of the most influential voices in R&B. A statement from D'Angelo, and now keep in mind, he had a child with Angie Stone. She died tragically in a car crash in March. Their son, Michael, released this statement. I am grateful for your thoughts and prayers during these very difficult times, as it has been a very rough and sad year for me. I ask that you please continue to keep me in your thoughts, as it will not be easy. But one thing that both my parents taught me was to be strong. Of course, he said, I intend to do just that. As I said, Angie Stone, she passed away in a crash while she was traveling in Alabama in March. I'm going to go to you, Larry, first. It's unmistakable when you talk about the impact of D'Angelo. Did not put out a ton of work, but extremely influential. Remember that black male anthem, You Will Know. That pulled together a plethora of black male singers. That was written and produced by D'Angelo as well.
Yeah, it's really hit hard when I heard the news today, Roland. Like a lot of folks, D'Angelo, that neo soul period, along with him and Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, Maxwell, others, was really important time for me as a young adult in terms of the music. But you're right, his impact on R&B and soul music is unquestionable and he's going to be missed. I remember a few months after, his album came out in 95, seeing him in DC, and the crowd and the vibes. And like I said, for a lot of black men, in terms of that balance, in terms of love for black women, but also the soul, and also how we could be, vulnerable at the same time. So his music will be missed. And like a lot of black folks, I was really broken about it today.
Mustafa.
D'Angelo's music was pure. It actually touched your soul, and that's the reason that it will live forever. I hope that the lesson also here is that we continue to die disproportionately from pancreatic cancer. We die at the highest numbers. And I hope that, even though we've lost this magnificent brother, that because of that loss, folks will go out, make sure they're taking care of their health and making sure that they're getting tested.
Absolutely. Cameron.
This definitely hit home for me. I was squarely in my youth in high school and college when Brown Sugar came out, and then when Voodoo came out, and saw that real world effect. He came to Howard Homecoming while I was there. But one thing I will say is in the recent pandemic, in the Versus series, I'm so glad he got to get his flowers again. Not that he ever lost them. But it was really good to see him be able to perform on a global stage again one time and reconnect to his music. And I think one lesson from his music, or from his career, as you mentioned, he didn't put out a lot of albums. I think he maybe put out 3.
Yeah, because he took off a significant period, about 5 years. So he took off a lot of time as well, like a lot of artists do. But go ahead.
But when you see the impact of how much you can do with such powerful music. I mean, Brown Sugar, if you look at my title right now, is still in my definitely top 10 R&B albums. I listen to Jones in My Bone, Cruising. I know it might be blasphemous, but I listen to that more than I listen to the Smokey Robinson version. Maybe that's just my generation. But for what he was able to do, his voice, his soul, his instrumentation, his artistry, I've been able to see him at least 3 times perform in my life. I'm really sad, and prayers to his family and all his fans.
This is a statement that was put out by Lauryn Hill. And she posted this: I regret not having more time with you. Your undeniable beauty and talent were not of this world, and a presence not of this world needs protection in a world that covets light and the anointing of God. You, sir, moved us, stirred us, inspired, and even intimidated others to action with your genius. Thank you for being a beacon of light to a generation and beyond who had no remembrance of the legacy that preceded us. Thank you for charting the course and for making space during a time when no similar space really existed. You imagine a unity of strength and sensitivity in black manhood. You imaged a unity of strength and sensitivity in black manhood to a generation that only saw itself as having to be one or the other. It is my earnest prayer that you are in peace, far away from selfishness, fear, and or controlling interest, far from possessiveness, far from greed, far from manipulation, far from exploitation, far from intentionally designed chaos, and that you, brother, are in peace, in bliss, and in eternal light and fulfillment with our Father in heaven. I love you and I missed you. May God grant peace and shelter to your family, true friends, and genuine appreciators, Brother King. That, of course, is a statement from Lauryn Hill with regards to the passing of D'Angelo. You know, I was having a conversation, Mustafa, with someone the other day, and this individual, the sister I was talking to, she was talking about how she's been pained by a lot of things, and she said, primarily, she said, because I'm now experiencing things that my parents experienced. And I knew what she was talking about. What she was talking about is that, you know, when you reach your 50s, all of a sudden, the passing of people who we know, people who we admire, whether they are entertainers or singers or athletes, but also classmates, begin to pick up because there are more years behind us and in front of us. And of course, D'Angelo was dealing with pancreatic cancer. There are people who are now are experiencing so many different things. And what I tell folks constantly, and I get people, they always crack me up. They say, man, you're always going here. You're always playing golf. You're always doing this and doing that. And I remind people, I'm like, ain't no day, ain't no hour, ain't no minute, no second promised. And the reality is we got to live life to the fullest. And I always use the hashtag live life, love it. And because we have to recognize that we all have a timestamp, all have an expiration date, and we simply don't know what it is.
Well, you know, I believe that we're all sent here to do good, to touch, to make sure that folks know that they're seen and valued and honored. And when I think about D'Angelo, when I think about a number of folks who have, you know, crossed over to be with the ancestors, you know, that's what they did. And that's why it's so incredibly important for us to honor folks, both when they're here in this moment, putting our arms around them, whether, you know, it is actually physically or through thoughts and prayers and connection by picking up the phone. But it is also about us honoring everything that they left behind and cherishing that and protecting it, especially in a time of erasure. You know, our music is so incredibly important. Our poetry is important. All the things that writers do is so incredibly important because it is the essence of who we are. And D'Angelo brought that forward. If you listen to his music, and when we talk about soul music, his music was just that. All you have to do is turn down the lights. All you have to do is put on that album, and it takes you to another place. It replenishes you. And we should do that each and every day with each other, especially when folks are always coming for us. I always want Black folks to truly love Black folks. We talk about that, but we don't always put it into action. So, you know, hopefully this is a remembrance of how, not only how special we are, not only of our Black excellence and beauty, but also that we need to live it each and every day. Because as you said, one day there will be an expiration, but the expiration doesn't have to end who we were and what we gave back to our people and to future generations.
And at that point, Larry, I think it's so important because the one thing about music, but it's not just even music, we now live in a visual world, and those words can live on and on and on. Andrew Young, Ambassador Young, accidentally texted me the other day, and I was like, yo, was it a butt dial? What happened? I hit him, and we had a brief chat. But he always says Dr. King was assassinated April 4th, 1968. He said, but literally, he said physically he's not here, but he still lives with us every day because somewhere in the world, he's being talked about, his speeches are being played, his books are being read. He said, so the reality is, he said, Martin has been living with us every single day since the day that he was physically taken from us. And that's also the power of music when an artist passes away.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned that because D'Angelo reminded me of one of my famous musicians, Teddy Pendergrass, in terms of sensuality in his lyrics and his appeal to women. But you're right, Roland. His music will live on, and his music will influence generations of musical artists long after we're gone. And that's the legacy that musicians can leave that many of us could never understand. But his legacy is without question, and he will continue to live on. And let's listen to his music in the car or wherever we are, working out, etc. And I send my condolences to his son.
And Cameron, to the point you made earlier, listen, artists learn from other artists, so there's no doubt you're going to have a generation of artists that looked at D'Angelo, how he did music, how he produced, that voice, the writing, the instrumentation, and say, hey, man, I can gain inspiration from that.
I agree. I think it was his instrumentation. It was he had a distinct voice. I think there is something to be said about him taking those breaks, touring, and then taking time to refill his creative energy, and then come back with another amazing classic and hit. That I know the modern music times in this digital age, it's harder to do. But it might, like they said, there's something over quality over quantity. And then one thing, I know we jokingly, we alluded to it, that Untitled, How Does It Feel? The visual of that and how striking that was. And it obviously, I was squarely in college when that came out, and that was all the rage of all the women. But what I will say,
yeah, it was simple. It was simple. D'Angelo, exactly. butt naked, the black background.
I don't know. But I will say, like, just in terms of when you say inspiring and something that was so simple, and that was, you remember the 2000s, 90s is when they're spending $500,000, $1 million, $2 million on videos. And one of the most impactful videos that still sticks out into your day is something I guarantee you shouldn't have cost more than maybe a few $1,000s, just whatever it took, the lighting and so forth. So for him to go against the mold at a time specifically then when people were pouring so much into that, and he just let the music and the visual connect. And then now when you hear it, I don't watch the video, but you hear the song, like how powerful.
You like, I don't watch the video. Trust me, you put that video around a sister, the scene is going to change. Folks, the great musician Raphael Saadiq had a conversation with iHeart Radio where he talked about working with D'Angelo on the song Lady. Here's what he said.
The first time we met, D was supposed to come to my house, and he didn't show up the first day. And then but he came the next day. But I think he thought, he was going to come to a house and it was going to look like the rich and famous, probably with a spiral stairs and helpers, everybody in the house. And
yeah, it's like, I'm going to Tony's house. It's gonna be...
but when he thought it's going to be a lot of people, he don't really like a lot of people, Yeah. And then he found out I don't either. So when he got to my little 2-bedroom, $235,000 crib, but it was in the garage. It was me, him, and my engineer.
Where at?
In Sacramento.
In Sac? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I lived in this neighborhood full of like lobbyists and politicians, right? And we were just, and he was just so surprised. He didn't tell me later on, I thought his house was going to be crowded with a lot of people, and it wasn't. And so I started playing Lady. That's the first thing we worked on was Lady.
Wow. You had that already?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had the idea because it was supposed to be for Tony's record. The idea, but
for like House of Music maybe or something?
Yeah, they didn't like it. They didn't like the initial idea. They never heard it, what it was going to be.
Okay.
Neither did I. But I played the guitar riff for D'Angelo, and he said, I like it. I said, cool. So I was going to call somebody over to play my guitar parts over. He said, no, you should leave what you did. And that's the first time my guitar playing ever got on the record.
Wow.
Ever got on the record, yeah. So, but I think how we came up with it, we figured it out. We were playing, and we were playing behind the beat, but I think we were just really trying to lock something in. And so he would fall back and he would start laughing, then I would fall back and we started kind of smiling and laughing, and it we just kept going back and forth, but not talking about it, and it became sort of the style of his record. But that's the way he sings, that's the way he plays.
Wow.
And it was just natural for him, but he's a Dilla fan.
Yeah.
And so then, I'm a Dilla fan too, so I figured it out later. We were just mocking Dilla.
Really? That early? Early on?
I think Dilla was the first one.
Okay.
Or we heard it through hip hop.
Yeah, right.
Maybe
right.
just not Dilla. Maybe we heard it on some Wu-Tang records. Maybe we heard it on some Tribe records.
Yeah.
I love hip hop.
Yeah.
Right? So I think both our love for the Hawk is in gospel and hip hop and rock and songwriting. It was just the perfect storm at the right.
Angelo passed away at the age of 51 due to pancreatic cancer. So the condolences go to his family, loved one, and millions of fans across the world. Cameron, Larry, Mustafa, I appreciate y'all being on today's show. Thank you so very much. Folks, that is it for us.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.